Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Hot Topic Tuesday. I'm Zach Sooty. We have Al Fragnoli and guest Brandon Gunn. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Quite a few things to talk about. It's playoff time. It's hockey. It's NBA. Some exciting things to discuss. And I'm going to flip it to Al to start. Let's talk NHL playoffs. What is one series that has surprised you thus far? What series have you enjoyed the most following up to this point? And after the first week of the playoffs, what team do you think looks the best?
Love it, Zach. And you know I love talking about the NHL playoffs. Thanks for representing with your Pittsburgh Penguins jersey on tonight. We love it. You got the captain C there, so that means it can't be a Marc-Andre Fleury jersey, right? So definitely a Sid the Kid there. So let's talk about that first question with the NHL playoffs. So first of all, the one series that surprised me the most, Brandon, you called this last week when we chatted. The Edmonton Oilers and Winnipeg Jets has surprised me the most. And the reason being is I thought the Oilers, they were 7-2 in the regular season against the Winnipeg Jets. I thought they would, I don't want to say steamroll by the Jets, but I thought it would be no more than a 5 or 6 game series. Thought it might be a sweep in favor of the Oilers. And we're looking at it the other way around here with the Jets. Absolutely pure domination. So that has been a series that has totally shocked me. And what a collapse in game 3 by the Oilers, being up 4-1 with about 9 or 10 minutes left in the third period. That's a joke. You cannot blow a lead like that in the postseason. So I don't know what's going on there in Edmonton, but that's been the most surprising series for me. The series that I've enjoyed following the most, it seems like it's going to be a rivalry in Florida now, right? Tampa Bay and Florida, physical, intense series. That has been fantastic from start to finish. I loved watching each of these games progress through that series. It's been intense. It's been nasty. Probably a little bit too dirty on Florida's end in the third period of Game 4 the other night. Where they had some cheap shots and some dirty hits. So you don't like to see that, but I've enjoyed that series so far. And the team to me that has looked the best, and they've kind of shocked me on this. Zach, you called it, your Stanley Cup champion prediction right there. The Colorado Avalanche absolutely look dominating. They look like the fastest team that I've watched in years in the NHL. I still think if they match up against the Vegas Golden Knights, that'll be their toughest challenge. That might prevent them from getting to the Stanley Cup finals. But as of right now, I think the Colorado Avalanche absolutely look dominant. And I've been thoroughly impressed with their performance in their first round series against the St. Louis Blues. Brandon, we'll jump over to you with some of your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, Al, I've got to echo a lot of your sentiments. I think that you're right in a lot of the things that you've seen and your observations along the way so far. I think that Winnipeg and Edmonton, even though I thought that Winnipeg could pull out that series, I didn't think it would look like this. I mean, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl are still performing, still putting up the points that they need to. They're just not getting the support from the rest of their cast, which I thought would kind of happen, but I didn't realize that Winnipeg would come to life like this. So, like you said, here they are, facing an elimination game here pretty soon, and who would have saw that coming? I didn't see it being a fast series. I just thought that it would probably go the distance, and then Winnipeg, with their experience, could pull it out. But and also Washington losing to Boston in 5, that surprised me. Not so much because you know Washington is a great team, but just because I thought that they were more evenly matched than what it turned out being. So Tuukka Rask played great. The inexperience of Washington's goalies did show. Just Craig Anderson, being pulled out of mothballs and things like that. Mantha, man, they thought they were requiring him to put him over to the hump, and it just didn't happen. But good news for Wings fans because our pick just got better. So good news there, but it's still surprising nonetheless. In terms of enjoyment, I could probably rattle off reasons for all of these series, but the ones that I've really followed that have been the most interesting to me, Al, to your point, the competitive spirit in Florida is awesome. It's great to see, you know, a not native hockey area really get a following to support two good teams. But outside of them, Montreal and Toronto, it's fun seeing the Canadian teams play in the playoffs against each other. That's been a series with a lot of fire in it. So that's been a lot of fun to watch. Austin Matthews is always a joy to watch. And then Pittsburgh and New York Islanders, too. I think that's a great series just because you have these two forces just going against each other, and they approach the game in an opposite way, but at the same time, they still turn it into each other's games and take turns controlling the tempo of that game. Outside of them, Carolina and Nashville, once again, staying local to the Central Division. They've been to double overtime twice already in the series. That's been a lot of fun hockey to watch there, too. In terms of teams that look the best, Al, I've got to agree with you. I mean, Colorado, they just went out and made it look easy. And we knew that they were good. How good is the question? Grubauer looked good for them, which is going to be a problem for everybody else that they play, because you're looking up and down that lineup for Colorado and you thought that the goaltenders were the one weakness. If he's going to come out and play to that level, the rest of the league's going to have a problem. Tampa winning or potentially winning tonight to seal the series over the Panthers, that could potentially be a big deal as they move forward as well. But a lot of good hockey's been played. Zach, what are some of your thoughts?
So I think my biggest surprise and also who I think looks the best is the same with the Colorado Avalanche. Although I did select them to win it all, I do think that they were just surprisingly good. Little worried about the Penguins and Islanders. I said the Islanders could disrupt, so it's been a fun series to watch. I think it was a little scrappy. It was good to watch, and I think the Nashville series as well with a couple overtime games. But I agree with you. The Capitals losing in 5 was a huge surprise. So. I think it's been a great NHL playoffs to start. Looking forward to see what happens the rest of the way. So we'll go from there. But I think, my biggest surprise and who looks the best was Colorado. So moving on, gentlemen, we're gonna whip it around back to Al. I'm gonna ask about NBA playoffs. What series have you enjoyed most, and should the favored Jazz and Clippers be concerned about their first round matchups?
Well, first of all, the Jazz and Clippers both, I think, should be concerned moving forward. This is the first time in a really, really long time that I feel like the NBA, there's no clear-cut favorite on who's going to win the NBA title. And I think that in previous years, you could look at 2, 3, 4 teams and think that, okay, these teams are definitely going to probably be the ones to win it. I don't think that's the case this year. So that, with that being said, Clippers and Jazz are favorites in their first round series. The Jazz are favorites to potentially be in the NBA Finals, right? And we're talking about maybe a first round upset here to the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis looks good. They had those 2 play-in games. They won both of them, obviously. They lock up the 8 seed, and they're kind of on a roll right now, playing really, really good. So if they can somehow win another game in Utah and go back home up 2-0, it's going to be really tough for Utah to come back. The Clippers, I think, got to be careful too, because Dallas is a really good team, right? So, I think that's a dangerous series too. So I do think that both those 2 teams need to be concerned about a potential first round upset. The series that I'm most looking forward to that I've enjoyed, I guess, is going to be Portland and Denver. I think Portland's kind of a quiet team, right? They get the 4, 5, 6 seed every year, and they could very well end up in the conference finals and maybe sneak into the NBA finals. I just love watching Damian Lillard play basketball. The guy can put up points. He's a great player, a great teammate. He is exciting for me to watch. I love watching him probably more than any NBA player right now at the moment. So that is the series that I have most enjoyed. Brandon, your thoughts?
So in terms of Utah and then the first round matchups there. I don't know that the Clippers quite or the Jazz are in trouble, to be honest with you. And the reasons why is the Clippers are a better team than their seeding indicates. They kind of mailed it in for the last couple games of their regular season. And, I don't know if that was for load management purposes or, what today's NBA is, but they went in and they dropped a couple of seeds because they did mail in those past couple of games. So they sunk down. Dallas won a 3-team tiebreaker to jump into the 5th seed. So I think that overall, the series, the cream will rise to the crop, to the top there. And I think that, Dallas just winning that tiebreaker amongst the lower seeds, I think the Clippers will go in and they'll take care of them. In terms of Memphis and Utah, once again, I think that Utah maybe just had a game to shake the rust off, and then they're going to come out and take care of business. I think that they could actually wrap this up in 5. I think that, I look at Donovan Mitchell, who could have been a Pistons draft pick, and he's just something special out there. And I don't know that there's a bigger tear in my eye whenever I watch him, play because, man, it seems like the Pistons have so many coulda, woulda, shoulda guys. But yeah, I think that overall, I think that the two teams, the two favorites, I think are going to go ahead and take care of business. And I think that it was just a matter of shaking the rust off and they'll get that taken care of. In terms of what series do I enjoy the most? Man, I cannot take my eyes off of what LeBron James is doing. And it's not so much a series as it is a guy, because here this guy is, and I'm not watching him for the reasons of padding his stats and, building and just engineering his legacy and, cementing himself amongst the greats. No, I mean, we're watching a guy who's, yes, he take a finger to the eye. He did take a finger to the eye, but for him to like run back down the field and, he's pointing to his eyes, showing everybody that he can't see. But there were 16 baskets and I just threw it the one in the middle and it worked. And, I mean, it's just the theatrics just are insane to me. I can't get over it that, for a player this great to distract from his own basketball game is just amazing to me. The guy's got all the skills in the world to just do it on the field and just, but I think that he was trying to recreate that Michael Jordan flu game with getting poked in the eye. And I don't know. I just, you watch him and you're like, man, all the theatrics can stop. You're skilled enough to do this, but man. So I would say that that's what I'm watching the most, and just enjoying him kind of, I don't know, almost become a caricature of himself at this point.
Brandon, save some of the LeBron talk for coming up soon. We know you want to talk about LeBron. We're going to get to him in a minute. All right. And the next thing you mentioned having a tear that comes to your eye when you think about the Pistons and the potential of them passing Donovan Mitchell. Talk about a tear in the eye when you watch the Portland Trail Blazers play and 36-year-old Carmelo Anthony's out there, and the Pistons passed him up for, as we know, Darko Milicic. So a lot of tears to be cried when you think about the Pistons. But Zach, why don't you chat about the NBA for a minute?
So I love the LeBron topic, so I can't wait to get back to that. But I don't think the Jazz. I think they took first game losses, just as you said, to knock a little rust off. I think they got hit in the mouth. They weren't expecting it. But I think they'll come back. I think sometimes, one good thing, I wasn't a fan of the playoff playing games, and maybe this is something that the playing games do is boil up some of that competitiveness to say, let's play competitive basketball again. And then these number ones kind of forget about how competitive NBA playoffs can be. And now I agree, it's not always competitive. I think the NBA can be, you kind of know who's going to be in the finals. So, it's interesting that how this has played out thus far. We'll see how far it goes, but I don't think they have anything to worry about. As what I like watching, I enjoy watching the Bucks. I think they're a good team. I think they're fun to watch. but the theatrics around LeBron James are appealing for all the wrong reasons to me. And I think that's why we're going to go into our next topic. Sticking with the NBA, I want to talk LeBron James. And I think we all have something to say about this. LeBron recently broke the COVID-19 protocol by attending an event. Was the NBA right in not suspending him? And why not just throw out any other opinions you have about LeBron at this point? Al?
Yeah, so let's talk about LeBron James, right? Why not? So, did the NBA make a mistake? I think so. I mean, it's part of their protocol, their rules, their policies, right? I mean, you can't be going to these events, otherwise there's going to be a suspension or a fine. They didn't even address it. So I get it. LeBron James is the face of the NBA. Everybody wants to see him out there come playoff time. There's no denying that, myself included. We all want to see him out there. But did the NBA make a mistake? Yeah, they're not even addressing the issue. So, they're essentially saying certain players have certain rules and other players have other rules, right? So if this was a bench player on the Los Angeles Lakers doing this, you could believe that he'd be suspended for a game or two. So that's my take on that. Brandon, you had some interesting points about LeBron. I mean, I watched that post-game talk the other night with the finger in the eye, and I mean, I laughed it off. But yeah, he seems very dramatic at things. Seems to be a little nagging injury every single night. He gets slapped on the wrist. It's got to be a foul. All this stuff. So that's LeBron James, but he's been the face of the NBA for a long, long time. And I've enjoyed watching him play. He's obviously one of the all-time greats, but there's a lot of drama behind LeBron James. So, Brandon, you kind of alluded to how you feel. You want to talk about him a little bit more?
Yeah, well, I mean, drama follows him, right? I mean, it's just coincidence, I'm sure, but yeah, this is such a tough situation because what was the league wrong? They were wrong in not suspending him. If you have rules in black and white, you abide by the rules. The problem is that works all well and good when it's Zach Suddy of the Sixers or Al Fragnoli of the Pistons going out and breaking curfew or whatever else. Yeah, those guys they're sent away, right? But when it's LeBron James, the biggest guy in the game, one of the most polarizing players in the league, that at least 50% of fans are going to be upset regardless of what you do, and that makes it for a really hard situation for the league. Here this guy is, he's promoting a brand that is either sponsors him or he's part owner in or whatever the case is. He was out doing that. It's not like he was out doing anything beneficial or charity work or anything like that. So to me, you've got to suspend him. I just think you have to. Otherwise, you set a precedent, and who knows? I mean, there's probably a couple other guys with some endorsement deals, probably, at least half thinking about doing something. So I just think that if you're a guy in the league office, you really don't want to see this situation come across your desk. And I think that's why it, got put in timeout for a little while. And who knows, maybe he'll face something in the offseason.
Now, Brandon, my big follow-up question for you is if Zach's going to be a bench player on the Philadelphia 76ers, I want to know why I'm a bench player on the Detroit Pistons. I want to be traded to Portland. Please give me to Portland.
I'll see what I can do. We're moving a lot of pieces right now, so I'm sure we can move you out and get some pieces coming the other way.
All right, perfect. I know I'll be a sixth man of the year over there. Zach, your thoughts on LeBron?
Before we get to LeBron, first of all, I got a sick crossover and I can shoot a left-handed layup, so I got that on I'm sure.
Perfect.
But anyways, I think that's a difficult decision to make when the face of the NBA, the most well-known athlete in your league, does something to violate protocol. You got to go against, your policies or procedures, or follow them and suspend them for the playoffs, or whatnot. I think, did they get it wrong? I think they just set a precedent. Yeah, I think moving forward, then you made your decision. This is what you're going to live with moving forward. I don't think that, you know, I'm a policy and procedure guy. I think you know you need to set the example and say if this was the rule, this is the consequence. But as soon as you change that, that sets the precedent for moving forward. So I think in my opinion, NBA got it wrong, but I also there's gray area in that, and I think that the new precedent has been set. So Zach Sooty on the 76ers better not get suspended next week. So that's my thoughts on that. But to go back to Brandon's discussion about LeBron James and the theatrics, I know this isn't the topic of the question, but you have a guy like Kevin Pillar who gets hit in the face with a 95-mile-per-hour fastball and gets up and eventually walks off the field. He spent less time on the ground than LeBron James did when he got poked in the eye. So I think the legacy of LeBron James will forever be, I don't want to say tarnished, but I think there will be some situations where he will never be considered the greatest of all time because he doesn't have the Mamba mentality. He doesn't have the Michael Jordan flu game. He may have tried to do that, but Michael Jordan had that killer instinct. And a guy the size of LeBron James who gets knocked down as easily as he does and stays on the ground as long as he does is almost an embarrassment. And I think that will hurt his legacy as being one of the greatest basketball players in the world. And maybe not the greatest basketball player ever, but more the competitiveness, I think, will be challenged because that is where, I don't know. I'd hate to get knocked down and stay on the ground that long. And I was always a small guy. It was important for me to get back up real quick. And I think that is kind of not the downfall of LeBron James, but one of the aspects of his game that will forever be just something that will be discussed. And I think he'd be one of the greatest ever if that theatric wasn't always there for LeBron James. So just piggybacking on what Brandon said earlier, to kind of bring that discussion home. Anybody else have anything they want to add to that?
No, it's all great stuff on LeBron. I couldn't agree with you more, Zach.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Great discussion on NBA, NHL today. And look forward to you joining us this upcoming weekend when we have Dr. Will Ramey talking about toxic leadership. It's a great conversation. Al and I were privileged enough to have a long conversation with him. So we hope you tune in, and we'll see you this weekend and also next week for Hot Topic Tuesday. Thank you, everyone.